Welcome back to another episode at the Anime Association. This episode will be discussing Lazarus episode 5. Before we get into all that good stuff, I got my boy Kyle Tim times 10. I got Anime Addict, and we have Shin the Hero.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you. Good to see you guys.
Had so
So,
much disdain in his voice to say times
Right when he
10.
said times 10.
I don't understand. Hey, anyways, people, as you guys know, so episode 5 of Lazarus is out. Following up from what we've said in the previous episodes, this anime is a real slow burner. This is an anime that is clearly one that is to be enjoyed as a binge watch and not a week to week watch itself. But because with each episode itself, you're not getting like tons and tons of information that leads into the main story arc. You get little tidbits. It's almost like we're doing a detective mystery here, following the characters here as they try and find Skinner itself. So it can get a bit tedious as you watch the episode, but nevertheless, we are here because we appreciate you guys obviously tuning in to hear what we think about each of these episodes. So with that said, let's get straight into it. So I'm gonna start off with Shin itself. What was the best bit about the episode for yourself?
When it was done. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm not I did like that little hack off that the two hackers were doing. Now, I watched this in English. I probably should go back and watch it in dub. But like watching this in English, the little I guess the other hacker girl, the black
Pop
chick with
Wizard.
pink hair, Pop Wizard, every
Yeah.
time she kept saying, what was it? The
Right
hardcore.
on.
She was saying hardcore, man. I was just like, man, somebody shut her up. Please catch her. Please catch her.
Drive
But
off the cliff.
I like that whole hack off. And then I like the Marvel thing they did with the elevator thing. Old
Yeah.
girl,
Notes.
old
It's
girl
my
was
notes.
going in. Old girl was
Yep.
going in. I thought she was gonna beat him, but she got bodied. One thing I did find out though, this was choreographed by the John Wick guy.
No, for real.
One of the
Yeah.
directors, or sweet.
The dude who does the main guy who did the stunts and everything like that, does the fighting and everything in John Wick. They
Mhm.
choreographed this. That's the
The whole
reason why.
series.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the reason why it looks so fluid. The battles and stuff like that looks for fluid. The stuff that he's doing, Axel doing, that still don't. I don't think anybody really fight like that. But I don't know.
Let the man be. Let the man be. Addict.
Yeah, the hack off was my favorite part. I actually thought that the elevator scene was kind of weird. I don't know if it was the animation or what it was exactly, but it was kind of throwing me off. So, I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings on the episode as a whole.
Yeah, I think uh, before I send it to you, Kyle, I think as the elevator kind of closed off, I think there was this look in the eye of Axel and one of the guards. I was thinking, what the fuck's about to happen in this
Yeah,
elevator?
because
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
confused.
they
I was
got
confused for
close. Because
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
he did
So
something like this and then rubbed his chin, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Wait,
I was thinking,
what?"
what? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
It was very
Kyle,
weird, like angles
go on,
and
Kyle.
stuff.
What were your thoughts? Best bits?
Uh Honestly, I would probably say a part of the hacking scene and stuff. At least really it was the whole they took the bait. There was some bait laid out inside the layers and layers of the hacking and stuff like that. That was probably my favorite bit. Uh and then just like Shin, the popcorn, I can't think of what her name. I watched it in English as well, and that was just out of place. Like the whole dialogue, the way like it didn't flow even for somebody to have a difference of personality within the series. It just sat out of place of everything. But my favorite part was like the hacking and everything. Oh, and then finding out about the test animals dying and stuff. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, because that was towards the end of last week's episode. So obviously seeing that reference kind of brought us a little bit forward in the story itself. But just touching upon in terms of the story itself, we see obviously leading into the elevator scene and everything, we see Axel gets into the building all the way to the top. To At first when the episode started, I genuinely thought that was Skinner that was waking up, because I actually thought it was Skinner itself. So obviously we then find out it wasn't Skinner itself. It was the chairman of the company that knew about the drug, that it potentially was bad itself. But then I like the fact, what I did like about that whole interaction was, it was more of a, they kind of were getting to the point where they were getting tired of always kind of chasing the tail. They wanted to really be a bit more aggressive in terms of trying to devise strategies to see if they can lure out Skinner itself, instead of constantly looking for these minor little clues, which seem, as we've seen for the first 4 episodes, haven't actually got them very far. Yes, they've got some information here and there, but they haven't actually gotten anywhere near. I wouldn't even say if we're on a scale of 1 to 100%, really, I wouldn't even say they're more than 6%, because that's just how minuscule the information that they're collecting is having an overall impact to, in the mystery and the story, and the whole quest to find Skinner itself. But like, just coming around with you, starting off with you, Addict, what were your thoughts on the plan itself, leading into, just before we get into the hackathon, just the plan they kind of devised to hopefully try and flush out Skinner with this dodgy antivirus that they were claiming was going to be in circulation?
Yeah, I thought the plan was, really smart. They had the what was it called? Like the septum or whatever was in those little tubes. They had those
Yeah.
at the meeting or whatever. And basically um I'm losing my train of thought. Shoot.
Come
I
on, you
I
could
I,
do it.
I
I
forget
believe in
I
you.
completely forget what I was gonna say. While
All
you were asking
right.
me, I was thinking of it, and now I'm
Okay.
having trouble.
I'll just head off to Shin, and then I'll come back to you,
Okay.
Shin.
So the plan itself did seem pretty. It was a pretty good plan, but at the same time, for this dude to being as smart as he is, there was no way that man was gonna fall for that. Like, and they did prepare for like a hacker and everything like that, but like they didn't. I didn't think this hacker was better than the girl in the chair, because it seemed like she was way better than her. Like, she set up where she had her own little mobile RV
Command center.
thing or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, like she had one of those. She set up stuff. They got there's stuff that they kind of left out, and then we was getting like with for instance the walkie talkies. We just got that. It was like, yeah, the walkie talkies were the
Yeah.
things. We got all that information right then and there. We could have got some of that information sprinkled earlier. The same thing with the monkeys. Like, they said like, yeah, we tested the drug on the monkeys, but he never really gives a time frame when they did it. Like, and then he just said one of the monkeys died. He still didn't give a time frame when it happened. So like, even if they did know the guy had like dubious means to the drug, they never really gave us a time frame on that. So like, that was a little confusion. I do agree with you too. I thought that was Skinner in the beginning of the movie. The dude was rolling over and everything like that. I did too. I thought he was that. I thought that was Skinner, but then turns out it wasn't. And then I don't know. It's just because you get Axel talking, because like you get every character talking in the beginning of before the opening plays and everything like that, and they're telling you their, I guess, instance with Hopper, and then he is tired. Axel said he banged his head against something, which I feel like this is like a clue or something like that. Axel banged his head up against his cell because he was in jail at the time, he banged his head against the cell, and he said he felt it, which this drug was supposed to be like a pain reliever type thing. But he said he felt it, and then he was like, I guess it doesn't have effect on me or whatnot. So with that being said, and everything like that, that information there, do we think Axel is going to die? Or does the drug, or if Axel can't be the only one that this drug didn't affect like this. So what about the people who it just didn't affect? Do they still die? Will this drug still go through and do what Buddy had planned and everything like that? So like that's a question up in the air. But like I also reference it back to the ending. If y'all ever pay attention to the ending, the ED, when you see everybody's laying out on the ground, like basically dead, and then at the end of the ED, Axel is the one that gets up. That might have something to do with what he had said.
Interesting. Addict, back on. Are you back on track?
Yeah. So I was gonna point out what I thought was really cool about their plan was how they were all like surveilling the building and everything, and then Axel just straight up like just jumps into action. Like we kind of notice how he goes against the plan. Like yes, they're all on the same team, but he kind of goes off on his own and does his own thing. And to me, it's just like it's just funny like how he just goes off on his own and does his own thing. But in the end, it seems like the plans always come together because then they end up one step closer to where they're trying to go.
Interesting. Yeah, Kyle.
So I was thinking a little bit about what Shin was saying too, especially at the very beginning, that they referenced that. But as he was saying that during the episode, they bring up the fact that Hapna works on a specific strand of the DNA. I think like a certain part of the DNA. So I think that might actually rely on something that either like certain people don't have that in their DNA or they have a mutation of it. So I think that might actually come into play about not everybody's going to be affected by it. And also with the monkey thing, I think that was like trials before approval type of thing. They're testing it out on animals to see what it was. So I think that's kind of the timeline of that without obviously they didn't say it, but I'm inclined to think that's kind of where it lays is like before approval. So if it probably like a month or two before it got approved that monkey had took the Hopna and stuff. But another thing that stood out to me was the fact that they made it seem like the leader or the director woman that she knows something because she said something like this is files or data from Delta, and they're like, how do you know this? It's because of where it came from, and they zoomed in on Sam. That's his name, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. The black dude.
Yeah.
I
They zoomed in on his face, and he was like how you know that just by a simple glance at this. So those were really that was really the main thing that stood out to me in that little sequence right there, setting up the plan and everything, that the director clearly knows something more than what she's leading on for us to believe.
Interesting. Yeah, I think she's obviously. It does seem as though that she seems to be a bit more invested. She has a bit more investment in this story itself. Yeah, that was a good spot itself. And then just coming back to what Adik was saying in terms of how Axel behaves, in terms of the plans itself. I think what makes him a little bit more different is I think Sam, if it is his name, because I forget it as well, is that he is more of a rigid kind of guy. His plans are very to the T. It needs to be like this. It needs to be like that. Everybody's got their specific roles in those plans. Whereas, obviously, with what Axel does is Axel is more of a, he thinks outside the box. Sometimes the most unconventional thing is the best thing because who's going to suspect him walking in is going to, think he's just some guy. Yeah, of course, when he walked in, he ended up being a bit suspicious as he was walking around. But, it's that unconventionalness that kind of, makes him different and makes things happen itself. So that just wanted to add that in there. But, and then just coming back to, the hackathon, because I know we had there was a sense of disappointment in I think it was last week's episode or the week before, where we kind of got into the is it Dr. 909, the hacker itself, where we initially thought there might have been a hackathon there, but nothing seemed to happen because they had kind of said basically there were only three top tier hackers. I don't know if they'd actually mentioned Pop Wizard then, but they had said Elena and Dr. 909 and then someone else. So it could have been Pop Wizard itself, but we never got anything with that last week. So just getting this week was quite interesting because, from when, yes, that's what Shin said, the walkie-talkies was a bit of a, how the hell you get this in there kind of thing. Fair enough. It was a bit of weird. But once the action really started going in with the counter hacking and the hacking and setting little traps in between that, it was just good stuff. But then it was a bit more of a dodginess where somehow Elena had a fail-safe silver bullet somewhere in the back out of nowhere. I was just
She had a plan on a plan, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she sat down for like a good 2 minutes, flicking her hair like this, and I was thinking, girl's cooked. She knows she smoked, but somehow she was like, aha, I got this silver bullet plan, a fail-safe plan. I'm gonna let them hack this. I was thinking, shut the hell up, you were cooked. Watanabe was just nice enough to get you an out there. You were cooked. She was absolutely cooked. And just I don't know if you guys felt that way as well, like, that it was just basically an ass pull there, how she kind of somehow had a fail-safe idea in there, because ain't nobody was going to sit in that chair for a good 2-3 minutes out here playing with your hair like, oh yeah, and then say, aha, I remembered I have a fail-safe plan. Is that how you guys felt at all?
Yeah, it came off very ex machina. Do its ex machina. That's really what it gave for real. That they lined it up the episode before. Oh, she's a top 3 hacker, so obviously she's got the brains and stuff to do it. And then all of a sudden, there's something that's laid in there. That's kind of how it gave off. And same thing with the walkie-talkies. It gave off too much plot device, too much ass pull, almost like Shin was saying. There was nothing they could have even done as simple as just like walking in, like, oh, these are the new walkie-talkies, and like that could have just had us like, oh, whatever. And then there were moments in there that just didn't seem to line up too much, and seemed very ass pully for real.
Addict.
Yeah, to add on to the walkie-talkie thing, I feel like because they had new ones, that they wouldn't be as like easy to hack, because I don't like that kind of device isn't typically, one that you could really hack. I wouldn't think, like, based off the signal and stuff, because it's very like close range. So, and she was like out in a van, like I don't know how far away she was, but her basically like her where she was hacking was in the van, and then she's driving off at the very end.
And she was like in another country.
She was in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing is, this is supposed to be like super into the future. That's one. Two, with the walkie-talkie thing, they said someone called them to, it was like a recall on the walkie-talkies. So I'm assuming that was the plan of the hacker person. She sent them the walkie-talkies that she could already get into. That was the whole point of that plan. Now with the like I said, the walkie-talkie thing is what I don't necessarily, they could have easily just showed us like, yeah, here's the new walkie-talkies or something like that, so we have that in the back of our mind or something instead of being off screen. I disagree about old girl having a backup plan. That makes sense for the type of character she is. That does make sense. She was like, just in case the main plan didn't happen, I did make another plan. Like, I mean, that's the whole thing and she expected, because they already said up front, like, he's probably going to send a hacker. So she probably figured, it's like, just in case this hacker is better than me, I'm going to have a plan so we can catch him.
A trap for a trap.
Yeah. So like, I'm going to have another plan just in case our plan. I was thinking the hacking stuff was happening because they showed, and I guess this is just a red herring type thing, but like they focused. We also didn't see the cat. Unfortunately, we didn't see the cat. So I always thought the cat was up to no good, but we didn't see the cat in this episode, so there's that. But what I was thinking, you remember those robots, like those little cleaning robots?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was thinking something was going to go on with them because they were focusing on them. They focused on them a couple of times, and nothing never really happened except for the time when they all bum rushed Axel. That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, that would probably be smart because nobody would never assume those robots were doing anything like that and anything like that. I was thinking they was hacking it through them, but like the walkie-talkie. I mean, the walkie-talkie thing was smart, but I just wish we got a little like nudge there because it just came off screen type thing. You're like, yeah, we just got those new walkie-talkies. Like they made a recall and everything like that. So I'm like, oh, so the plan was already set up to fail in the beginning, type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, crikey. And then now, like, you know, just to kind of round us off, quick predictions for episode 6, starting off with Kyle. You know, what are your predictions for episode 6?
Honestly, I don't really have too many predictions because this series, just like his previous series, they're very episodic. Nothing really leaves too much for like a cliffhanger or anything like that. There's not really too much. Everything seems to be created and solved by the end. The only thing is that I think the patterns, like the star patterns that are in the eyes, I think that's somewhat of a hint to the antidote. Uh, because they played a lot onto it at the beginning of the episode, so I think that had something to do with the antidote. Uh, but that's about as far as any predictions I have for the series goes.
Yeah, Shin.
Well, I will say this: there's two things that have been confirmed in here. We know there's SoundCloud and Spider-Man exists. That's all. That's those two things. We know those things. I can't wait to see what still exists in whatever feature this is. But kind of like what Tim said, man. His shows is very episodic. We could get a plot relevant, story relevant episode next week, or we could get another episodic, a random episode next week where they're on that random goose chasers again or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we will probably see that hacker girl again, probably in the next episode as well. But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I just to build off of what Shin was saying, the episodic thing, I don't think we're ever going to get just one solid episode that's plot. Like it's just all plot. I think we're just going to get episodic stuff where the plot is sprinkled throughout, where it's like one thing that leads to the plot, and then it's just open and closed. But that's all I wanted to add to it.
Yeah, Addict.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything they're saying. I think Forbes said it best last week. This is just going to be a goose chase every week until we get down to like the last, I don't know, like 5 days or something, and then that's when the plot's going to start to pick up. We start to see things, you know, that we actually want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna continue going for a goose chase because I'm guessing there's probably another 21 episodes to go. Yeah, so there's a lot more nonsense waiting to happen before we even get a resolution. Because following on this previous project, it's always the resolution kind of starts to creep up around episode 17, 18. That's where things start cranking up. Because he's had too much fun in the first 17 episodes, and he's like, oh crap, I need to finish the story actually. So that's what usually happens. So yeah, that's what I think. I think we're probably going to go for another goose chase. You guys in the comments, let us know, what do you think? How are you feeling about Lazarus? You know, are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? Are you going to continue watching it weekly? Are you just going to wait until it's out and then just binge it? You know, are you picking up on the clues? Have you let us know. You know, have you seen something we haven't seen? You know, kind of thing. Get those comments in there so we can have a discussion and see where we're at and kind of help each other gain even more knowledge. So until next time, guys, make sure not to take Hopkin or else you got 28 days and you're cooked. So until then, see you guys in the next episode.